Besosa?
Yes.
I asked that because on your email signature in parentheses is...
Penkunis, yes.
So,
So, yes, that's my maiden name. And I took this role at HEB under my maiden name and got married once I already had the role. So I wanted to make sure that the contacts I had in the community knew who they were talking to
Gotcha.
once I got married and changed the name.
Okay.
So it is not hyphenated or anything by any means, but I wanted to make sure they knew that, yes, that's still me.
okay. And your title with HEB is what?
Is Area Community Coordinator.
What does that mean? What does that entail?
So I handle donations, sponsorships, community, and in-store events for all 5 stores.
And there are 5 stores now on this date, or 5 stores?
There is not.
Okay.
That's actually what we're here to talk about today, is the upcoming opening of the 5th store.
Okay. Well, before we get into the opening of the 5th store,
Sure.
tell me about you. Where are you from, and how did you end up in this position?
Gotcha. Kind of a roundabout way, actually. So I grew up dealing with nonprofits and charities. I was in Girl Scouts all the way through my Gold Award, and my mom actually was a special education teacher. And so I kind of always had that in my heart, is the service attitude. I am originally from Cibolo, which is near San Antonio, and grew up there, came up to A&M, and graduated in 2004, actually, in architecture.
Really? What happened there?
I just wasn't happy with that at the time, and I wanted to kind of get back into a corporate atmosphere where it wasn't just one person kind of making all decisions. And I found out about this role with, obviously I knew HEB was a great company growing up near San Antonio. And so I said, let me check it out. And it kind of brought me back to my service heart side of things. And I still get to use some of the design when it comes to designing events and some of the signage for the stores. So it still works.
Okay, well, that's good.
Yeah.
So walk me through what a typical day might be as area community coordinator. And I know it has to be a little bit different when you're trying to get a store open, but
Correct.
What's a typical day for you?
I don't really have a typical day.
Okay. Neither do I.
Yes. So it really just depends on the time of year and a lot of the requests that are coming in. So, of course, right now we're dealing with a lot of requests for back to school, for teachers' appreciation. We just supported Bryan High and Consol bands for their Marchathon this past weekend. So it's a lot of reviewing applications, making sure they have the right paperwork, checking our budget, assessing if we can support them, and then executing, the kind of donations portion of that is the majority of my day-to-day.
Okay. That sounds like a pretty good gig.
Yes, absolutely. I love it.
So let's talk a little bit about the store that's about to open in Jones Crossing, which is near the intersection of 2818 and Wellborn Road.
Yes.
Tell me about this store, because it is situated somewhat between the store on Holloman and the store down in Tower Point. So
Right.
what is the strategy? What is, what is the strategy of this particular store in this location?
It's kind of a multi-level strategy in the sense that we understand that a lot of our customer base now is either shopping at Tower Point or Holloman, but we also know that there's a lot of growth on the Wellborn side of things. And so, all the apartments that maybe don't want to shoot all the way down Holloman and they want to, shop on their side of town. Because, in this town, it doesn't matter how far, it's the other side of town.
Right. You're right.
And then, we have a lot of the housing areas down Wellborn on the other side, a lot of, the retired families or the families with children. And so it's really an amalgamation of both sort of demographics of the family atmosphere as well as the college students. So in a sense, it's kind of a combination of the two existing stores.
So I'm a fan of HEBs.
Appreciate it.
And just as, as somebody who needs to do some grocery shopping, and so that ends up being the store most convenient to me. But I've always been impressed with the precision in understanding the environment of where stores go.
Yes.
And how they're customized to that environment. So the
Absolutely.
store in North Bryan, I'm sure, is stocked in one way that's different from the store on Villa Maria, which is where I shop, which is different from Holloman and different from Tower Point.
Absolutely. And that's how we are able to have so many stores in town. Because if they were all the same, why add another one, essentially, And so
Right.
we want to offer something unique or different to both those that shop with us or possibly those that don't and want to try us out.
So with that in mind, what is unique and different or what will be at Jones Crossing compared to the stores that are close to it?
Gotcha. Yeah, there's actually a lot. So one of the cool features is it's actually going to be run by an Aggie. And in this town, that's always big news. So Frank Hidalgo is the general manager of that store.
Okay.
He graduated from A&M, was working in Houston as a unit director for a while, and he's back home in Aggie land now.
Great.
So that's a really cool deal to get him back. One of the other programs that we're going to launch shortly after the store opens, and it will actually be at all 3 College Station stores, is HEBGO. And so what that is an app that you have on your phone to scan as you go, and then you actually don't have to go through the checkout line. So we're still working out some of the technical logistics of that. So the rollout may be a little after the store opening, but just know that that is coming to all 3 College Station stores shortly, in the fall.
Wait, let's stop right there.
Yeah.
Talk to me more about that technology. How will that actually work? I walk in and what happens?
So essentially, you'll want to have the app already downloaded, and to be honest, we haven't had it in our hands to walk you completely through the process, but it's my understanding that with a smartphone, you will be able to scan those items as you put them in your basket, and it just kind of saves you time throughout the checkout process.
So I don't stop at the checkout, whether it's a self-checkout or a cashier.
That's my understanding, yes. Now, they will have our new self-checkouts and all of that at the new store as well, and if you want kind of that full-service bagging experience, that we kind of are known for at HEB, then you're welcome to still do that with our service end. But it will be the ability to kind of just grab and go those items and get through a little more quickly.
That's great.
Yes.
What else?
So they're also going to have one of the largest selections of Meal Simple. So if you haven't had those are our pre-made meals. They're great for small families or those cooking for 1 or 2 people at home, even college students if they so can afford, but they're everything from meals that support certain diets, so healthier meals, all the way up to lobster mac and cheese. And there's also kits. So some of the programs that people have that, you get sent a box to your home and stuff like that. We actually are carrying kits as part of our Meal Simple program now to support, I want to make that food at home. Right. The rest of the Meal Simple products are pretty much you heat it up and it's good to go. So it's already existing in a lot of our stores, but they're going to have a huge selection of them there as well. Okay. One other thing that's really cool is they are going to actually have a restaurant. So it's
like a sit-down restaurant.
Yes, a full-service sit-down restaurant within the store.
Okay.
It's called SoFlo Pizza.
SoFlo?
SoFlo, not so-so. The pizza is actually really, really good.
So spell SoFlo.
SoFlo is S-O, capital F-L-O.
Okay.
And what it actually comes down to is our Arsenal corporate offices in San Antonio are off of South Flores. So that's kind of where they got that from. But the pizza itself, I haven't gotten to try it yet, unfortunately, but I've heard it's amazing. They actually bring in the crust from different places and import the tomatoes, and every part of it is just really thoroughly thought about, and how the flavors go together. They also will have some really great specials from 4 to 10 p.m. They'll have pizza and 2 beers for $10. So it's great hangout for people of all ages, from college students all the way up, for deals like that.
So the idea is you can either come in and dine there, or I guess there's takeout. You can do that?
Correct, yes. And actually, with our curbside and home delivery, you can actually get pizza delivered too.
No kidding.
So that's pretty cool. We became our own pizza place,
Just like that.
So yeah, but and speaking of curbside, they will have the full build out. Our 2 College Station stores currently have curbside, but it was one of those that they had to work within the space that they currently had, and so we had a lease space that kind of came open about the same time for both stores, and they decided let's utilize that for the curbside space, but this will have full walk-in coolers, full walk-in freezers, so that'll expand the capacity of what we can do as far as orders for our customers on a daily basis.
So this is a store that's actually designed from the beginning to accommodate
Absolutely, yes. And they'll have dedicated spaces. When you're facing the building, they're actually going to be on the right side with covered, so it's not something that they have to work into their existing parking either. Right. And so with that, not only can you do curbside, but you can do the delivery, like I said. So HEB to you, in partnership with Favor, we'll run our home delivery service. And like I said, you can get pizza and all of your groceries delivered if you wanted to.
Well, these are some difference makers you're talking about,
Yes.
which is exactly what I wanted to know about.
Right.
It seems like I also heard that this will have a different level floral presence. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely. So they will have a full-service Blooms floral department.
Okay.
Blooms is kind of our designation, saying that it's more quality, more selection, that sort of thing. But they will also have a delivery service as part of that. So while we currently can do weddings and events, that will probably, elevate our ability to deliver and bring some of those services, elsewhere as well. They'll also have over 63 doors of beer selections and wines from all over the world, largest selection of healthy living, and we're also going to have a dedicated Aggie shop, which is Gig'em Gear, and so they've already started the branding on that. It will look like a lease space, but it's actually run by us, and so part of our grand opening celebrations will have Gig'em Gear out by our gas station before the store even opens for people to kind of check that out.
Ah, okay, I see. So you being an Aggie,
Yes.
and the store manager being an Aggie, I mean, how important is that for the integration of this store into the community and making sure that everything goes smoothly with A&M and so forth? I mean, how important is that
It's
connectivity?
very important to us. And that was one of the things when we started talking about the grand opening and what we wanted to do with that. We knew that a lot of people in this town know HEB, and we love and appreciate that. But it wasn't going to be an introduction to our company as a whole or our services. We wanted it to be more of, this is what we want to do for the community. And so part of that, while we have done tailgating competitions at A&M in the past, we're actually going to do one with the Corps of Cadets, because of course they are quite literally the heartbeat of A&M,
Sure.
With the band and everything else. And so they will have a barbecue competition the weekend of the Clemson game, and we'll bring in guest celebrity judges, which we're still working on, so I don't want to spill the beans on any of that.
Okay.
But they will be awarded with a gift card from us to support the rest of the season's tailgates. And the reason for that is the Corps of Cadets all year long raise money for March to the Brazos, which of course supports March of Dimes. And what a lot of people don't realize is their tailgates that they do for all home games is kind of a donation basis. So what they make this week, then they have to spend next week on food for that tailgate. So we're hoping that they can make a bigger contribution towards the March of Dimes for that. So that was one of our big features, as well as focus on our local heroes. So while A&M has a big presence here, especially with the timing of our opening being September 12th, we understand and respect the fact that that's right after September 11th, and want to focus on our local police and fire heroes. We've always done the Helping Hero program since 2001, where we reach out and either bring food or do some sort of service activity for our stations, but it was certainly something in our forefront when we were thinking about the grand opening.
I see. So September 12th is the grand opening.
Yes.
And then is it September 7th that some of these other events are going on?
So our gas station will actually open September 5th.
September 5th.
Yes,
Okay.
that's the understanding at this point, which will make it great because it'll be right off of Wellborn Road, right before the Clemson game.
Yes.
And so actually September 8th for the Clemson weekend, we are going to have gas station promotions. Like I said, we'll have the Gig'em Gear tent out there.
So in your time as area community coordinator, how many stores have opened in this market?
So actually, I have remained with the 4 this whole time. They redid the North Bryan store
Right.
while I was community coordinator, but I was actually in-store community coordinator for Tower Point at that point.
Okay.
So as long as I've had the area, it's been all 4 stores.
So is this because I don't know. I know there's a formula for it, there's a strategy for it, there's a team, but how anxious does the team get in these final days and weeks leading up to the big opening?
Well, we've had some practice at opening stores at
Yeah.
this point. So as a company, we're really good about knowing our tasks and what remains and how to get that done. In fact, I know you did the interview with kind of our building company that,
Yes.
you know, understands that once we set that deadline, we will open on September 12th sort of thing.
Right.
And so really it's just a matter of last minute details, setting up the store, making sure that product is good to go, making sure our partners are good to go. The partners are currently training at the other 4 store locations. So once that week comes up, they'll hit the ground running. It shouldn't be something that, you know, they have to learn as they go. We want them prepared to handle customers day one.
So you and I are doing this interview in mid-August-ish. As we speak, what is the state of the store inside? Shelving is in. I mean, where are you?
Yes, absolutely. So shelving is in. They are still doing some of the last minute electrical sort of thing. We draw a lot of electricity, for a lot of the different things that we do. But probably the last thing that's done is stock with products, because we want to make sure we have the most fresh products available. And so our grocery and non-perishable departments will be stocked first, because those are shelf-stable items. There's not really a concern there. But as far as the perishable side, so our market, our deli, our bakery, produce, etc., those actually don't get stocked until the day before we open. So the morning of September 11th, that is what's done. And that's simply because when we open, we want the customers to have the best possible product and have the longest dates. We don't want there to be any questions of how long that product's been sitting there.
But that's an enormous amount of product coming in.
It absolutely is, yes. And actually, I mean, that's the biggest store. I think we have mixed numbers, but either 105 to 109,000 square feet will be that store.
So this one could be the biggest in
Oh,
in the
it
market.
absolutely is in this market, yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
It is. It is.
So what else about this store should we know, or would you like us to know, or something that's like a favorite little fact of yours? Because we tend to focus on, this is coming, here's the opening date, but there's some of the minutia that I find fascinating if somebody talks about. So what are some things that maybe we don't know?
Yeah, that's actually one I'm stumped on, because there's so many really neat features that are coming with this store. And as much as I love the 4 stores that are here, there's so many exciting pieces of technology or, things that we just haven't had in this area, to start. And so it's my understanding, that it'll be the first store in the Houston region to be opening with some of these features. So that's a really cool statistic to me, because they've certainly looked at Bryan College Station over the years for some of our rollouts and testing phases. So when we were looking at doing digital coupons way back, several years ago, we were the test market for that. And partly because we had a 4-store area that was kind of contained with all different, demographic, and that we also have a large population that is technology driven.
Right.
And so the coupon rollout, started here, and then it went so well that now it's company wide. And so things like that are really exciting to me, that hey, Bryan and College Station got that first.
Sure.
We're thought of as little town, but really we have some big things coming for us.
Well, and this may be a ridiculous question, because I know we have between 60 and 70,000 students in the market, but do we, in the Bryan College Station market, do we behave any differently? Do we consume things differently than other places within the Houston market?
Yes and no. There are some similarities between some of our stores, and we kind of categorize our stores based on level of business, as far as do they get some of the higher end products, or what their dollars look like in sales per week, and we match, if not beat, a lot of the Houston region and some of the company in a lot of those things that are tracked. I know the gas station at Tower Point tends to be top 2 in the company, and that's simply because it's on Highway 6. So
right.
People coming in from Houston or people going out, they have a tendency of stopping in there. And in fact, last year with the hurricane, we were the last stop and last grocery store before the major damage. And so we ended up being kind of a launching point for some of the rescue missions and retrievals and everything that went down with that. So in a lot of ways, we're very similar, as far as how people shop. But even from store to store, like you said, we shop differently. So it's just, I don't know. It depends on where they came from, I feel like. So a lot of our population has come from other areas of Texas or, all across the world. And that's the nature of having a major university here. And so, we have to have a very diverse list of products that we carry. And that's an amazing thing because of the demographic that we have. But like I said, we tend to be top 10 of the whole Houston region. And that's something to say from being quote unquote small town.
Yeah. Well, so also getting back to you being an Aggie, do you have the ability, are you given the ability to say to the manager or somebody in corporate, hey, I understand this market. I think we're a little bit off. I would really strongly recommend we do this or we not do this. Are you given the ability as somebody who really understands the culture of this market to?
For certain things, yes.
Yeah.
And certain things, no. There are some situations, like when they came up and looked at property, they met with the current unit directors and kind of took some recommendations on where they felt would be some good options, where the growth was happening. And they do use some of that input when it comes to, where they're going to put the new stores. On my side of things, it's less about the actual location of the store or the products that we're going to carry. It's more about how we promote the store. And so, again, that kind of comes down to when we do grand opening, we don't have like a sit-down meal to introduce ourselves to the public. We want it to be more of a fun, let's get everybody that we want to go, be appreciated and that sort of thing. And, I got to say, hey, I think we're off the mark on this. Let's reel it back in and really focus on community, Texas A&M, families, education, et cetera. So
That sounds perfect.
Yeah.
What did I not ask you that maybe you want to make sure that people know?
it's going to be similar to the Holloman store in that it's going to be open 24 hours.
Oh, okay.
Which is, sorry, I missed that earlier, but it's something people on that side of town are probably be really excited about.
Sure.
If they want to shop at 2:00 in the morning, they can.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. I
Yeah.
didn't even think to ask that, so thanks for mentioning that.
Yes, no problem.
Well, this is great. I'm excited for you. I'm excited for us. Thank you, and HEB for locating another store in this market. And it sounds like it's going to be an amazing place, so can't wait.
Yes, please come check it out.
Diane, thanks so much.
Thank you.